So at the time of doing this video, Revolution of the Daleks is merely days away, and I can't help but think that the episode has got an amazing balancing act ahead of it. As has happened a few times in this era of Doctor Who, it is an episode that is promising a lot of big things happening, so it could go either way. I mean, it's not the first time a festive special has had a lot riding on it. With Time of the Doctor, Stephen Moffat had to balance resolving Trenzalore, the Silence plotline, the departure of Matt Smith and the subsequent introduction of Peter Capaldi, but to do that, he had to resolve the Doctor's regeneration cycle issue first. It was completely nuts. Fortunately, the balancing act that Chibnall was having to balance this time round is not as much deep lore based, but is still significant. So let's go through what he has to achieve this time around. Bearing in mind that this is coming off the back of The Timeless Children, an episode that was undeniably controversial amongst many parts of the fandom. So I don't think it's unfair to say that Revolution could really be the make or break of Chibnall's Who for some people. Now some say that The Timeless Children was that, but I say that Revolution has a lot more going on, just in a smaller scale, I guess. Well, let's get into it anyway. Captain Jack. Now obviously Captain Jack is coming back. Personally, I think that's great. We haven't seen the character interact with the Doctor since The End of Time Part 2, which will turn 11 years old on the day that Revolution is released. And doesn't that make you feel old? Because I certainly feel old. Either way, with the character partially reintroduced back in Fugitive of the Judoon, it does take the pressure off his Revolution role in the way they won't need a total reintroduction. Clearly Jack's going to play a role of being the one in charge of Graham, Ryan and Yaz in their fight back against the Daleks in the absence of the Doctor, which is going to be a cool role for him. In theory, these three are, for one day only, his new tortured team, which is going to make for a really interesting dynamic, as we've seen in those slight excerpts in the trailer, especially with Yaz. So essentially, Chibnall's got to balance the return of a fan-favourite character not seen on screen for 9 years, and of course, have a good reunion with the Doctor, amongst other elements, such as the Doctor being incarcerated. The Doctor's in jail, space prison, incarcerated, locked up, living out a new series of porridge. So she's going to be in a very debatable amount of the episode, which then creates a brand new subplot as well. How is she going to get out and reunite with her friends? I honestly can't see how, unless there's some sort of prison break, which could be pretty entertaining. And as I've said previously, she seems to have been there a while. But we all know the story of that, so moving on, we have the Daleks are defense drones? Nefarious evil plans are the Daleks' bread and butter. So here they are, once again infiltrating the defences of Britain. My main wonder is what degree that Jack Robertson is going to be involved in this. Previously he was seen in Arachnids in the UK. He's probably funding the new Daleks, and it's going to be implied that the Resolution Dalek played into this, thanks to an interview. But again, it's another element that could be huge. And now that we've basically had the confirmation of the Bronze Daleks being involved, then that adds another element. How are they going to be involved? I mean, it's quite obviously a Dalek trap of sorts, but this is going to be the first time that Chibnall is putting forth a full-on Dalek invasion of Earth with a full fleet of them. So we'll see how he handles them after he proved himself to really be able to write Daleks quite well in terms of their power, after the Resolution one massacred a whole army. But that's not the only thing he has to worry about in terms of what to balance. Graham and Ryan's departure. Sweet lord, now this is getting crushing. As a good fellow pointed out on Twitter, the last time Chibnall wrote out some characters in such a fashion was in Tortured Exit Wounds, and in that, Tosh and Owen were killed off in absolutely brutal and above all heartbreaking ways. As I've said in a previous video, I do not want Graham and Ryan to die, but I can't rule out the possibility. As I feel like, essentially with the way the episode is billed to be emotional, it does make me a bit nervous about their characters. Will the Daleks get to them? Will one of them sacrifice themselves? Either way, it doesn't bode well, especially if this is the route that Chibnall is going to go down with them. But whatever their end entails, well, it's going to result in the Doctor and Yaz travelling together, so it's either light enough that Yaz decides to stay on with the TARDIS with the Doctor, or dark enough that Yaz decides that she needs to stay on the TARDIS with an emotionally wounded Doctor. But I'm just hypothesizing here. Each of these elements are things that you could easily make a separate Doctor Who episode about alone conceptually. But for Revolution of the Daleks, all of these are going to be combined together into something that could possibly be the biggest Doctor Who episode in years. Or it could entirely fall flat. And I have no qualms about saying that I am pretty nervous about how it's going to turn out. A lot is riding on it. But all I'm going to do is simply wait and hope. as we all should. We will see how it turns out, and hopefully it'll turn out okay. And hopefully it'll turn out better than okay. Hopefully it'll be great. Obviously, I'll be making my review / initial reaction video as soon as the episode airs and put my thoughts out into the world, should anyone be even remotely interested in hearing them. Well then, what are your final hopes for the episode? Do you think it's going to turn out okay? How do you want Graham and Ryan to live? Well, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Other than that, I hope you have all had a fab Christmas period. I know it's been a most unusual one, but I just hope that you're doing as well as you can in the circumstances. Feel free to check out my new fan audio, The Cult of Christmas, for a late, festive farce, if that's your kind of thing. And until next time, see ya!